Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Jeff Bruce. Man, I feel like it's been a long time. Hasn't really been that long, but missed last week with Thanksgiving. I don't think I had anything for you guys Wednesday. I think I was going to try to record something, and then last week we were out of town for Thanksgiving. I had really hoped to. I brought along with me Spurgeon's morning for Thursday and Friday, and we were actually out at a place out east on Long Island. It was absolutely beautiful and incredible weather as well. If you don't follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you should, so you can just see some of the pictures because it was just incredible. It's hard to take a bad picture. Um, but yeah, there were 17 of us in the house, and so there's just no opportunity to come on or even try to record an episode. But I'm glad to be back. I feel like it's been a month since I've done anything on YouTube, so I'm excited for this week and for today to be with you guys again. So we're going to get started with Spurgeon's morning for November 30th, and we're just going to jump right into this here. All right. The passage it's actually kind of a long one for Spurgeon. Usually it's just like 3 words. This is 2 Chronicles 25:9. And Amaziah said to the man of God, "But what shall we do for the 100 talents which I have given to the army of Israel?" And the man of God answered, "The Lord is able to give you much more than this." 2 Chronicles 25:9. Excuse me. So a little context for this one. So just so you can I think it'll make more sense when you hear the context when we when we get to Spurgeon, what he has to say. So Amaziah is king of Judah. He was actually one of the better kings. His heart was mostly the Lord's, but he had this army, but he also hired troops from Israel. Probably because he wasn't totally sure if he had enough troops. So he kind of had these mercenaries, right, that he hired. And a man of God, all it says is a man of God, doesn't say if this is a prophet or a priest, but a man of God spoke up about this and told Amaziah that he's going to lose in battle if he keeps these troops because, the Lord was not with Israel at that time. And I don't know who was king of Israel at that time, but for whatever reason, this man of God knew that God was not with them. So Amaziah then had to give up what he had paid these men to fight for him. And so the man of God assured him that the Lord can give him more than what it is he lost, more than the money that he gave up for these mercenaries. So the point Spurgeon is making is that it's better to lose and trust in the Lord's provision than to provide for yourself and suffer loss. So that is just a little bit of context to the passage, and then we'll get to his devotional here. I had to look up some of the phrases he used in this one for sure. All right. A very important question. This seems to be to the king of Judah, and possibly it is of even more weight with the tried and tempted, O Christian. To lose money is at no time pleasant, and when principle involves it, the flesh is not always ready to make the sacrifice. Why lose that which may be so usefully employed? May not the truth itself also be bought? What shall we do without it? Remember the children and our small income? All these things and 1,000 more would tempt the Christian to put forth his hand to unrighteous gain, or stay himself from carrying out his conscientious convictions when they involve serious loss. All men cannot view these matters in the light of faith. And even with the followers of Jesus, the doctrine of we must live has quite sufficient weight. The Lord is able to give you much more than this is a very satisfactory answer to this anxious question. Our Father holds the purse strings, or that, I had to look that up. Purse strings means power or influence. So the Lord, our Father holds the power, and what we lose for his sake, he can repay 1,000-fold, right? We think of Job, who suffered tremendously. God was easily able to give him double. It is ours to obey his will, and we may rest assured that he will provide for us. The Lord will be no man's debtor at the last. Saints know what a grain of peace of mind is of more value than a ton of gold. He who wraps a shabby coat about a good conscience has gained a spiritual wealth far more desirable than any he has lost. God's smile and a dungeon are enough for a true heart. His frown and a palace would be hell to a gracious spirit. Let the worst come to the worst. Let all the talents go. We have not lost our treasure, for that is above, where Christ sits at the right hand of God. Meanwhile, even now, the Lord makes the meek to inherit the earth, and no good thing does he withhold from them that walk uprightly. So good. So if you saw the last video I did, which was now, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, on I don't know, the Friday before Thanksgiving, it was on this book I'm reading called Think and Grow Rich. The title just is uncomfortable, but I really felt like this passage this morning really applies somewhat to what I'm reading in that book. So God is not anti-wealth. He's not anti-provision for our own, but he is against what Spurgeon calls, and I was going to point this out, what Spurgeon calls unrighteous gain. So when it comes to matters of money, the Lord cares quite a lot about what we do with it and how we handle it, and also how we gain it, like how we gain wealth or riches or just revenue, income. And if you consider pretty much nearly all of Jesus' interactions with the wealthy and with the rich, you'll see that he wasn't against them for having wealth. He was against hoarding. He was against the lack of generosity that these people had. He was against storing up and just being lazy and just living like this lazy life because you have like money stored up. So he wasn't against money at all, but he was against unrighteous gain, laziness, lack of generosity. And so you think of Zacchaeus as well, right? So Zacchaeus gained his money unrighteously by kind of keeping some of, raising the taxes on his own people and keeping some of that money for himself. And so that was something that Jesus wasn't happy with. And of course, Zacchaeus made up for it when he repented. So I mean, this is such a great passage, I think, in part for this time of year. We spend a lot of money. So right now we just had Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I'm not sure if anybody even goes out for Black Friday anymore. Just, go on Amazon and get whatever you need. And then, and often it is money that's being spent generously, right? Getting gifts for others. But we do need to keep that generous spirit at the forefront beyond even Christmas. So I've shared many times before, I run a nonprofit, and it always kind of disappoints me that Giving Tuesday follows those other days. I'm not sure who designed it that way. I think it should come before that. But regardless, we've seen so yesterday was Giving Tuesday, and we've seen some generous people. We did kind of a fundraising event yesterday, and there's some very generous people that give to our mission. But I think more importantly, we need to remember this lesson post Christmas season. Right? We all do tend to be a little bit more generous this time of year. But what happens when the generosity fades? How are we using what God has given us? Are we only getting for ourselves? And I don't think God is against us getting things and, meeting our needs and meeting the needs of our family. But are we hoarding and then not being generous with what he's given? Are we gaining in a way that's not glorifying to God? And that's really something to be, I think, warned about. And are we becoming lazy when we have money? I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and it kind of brought into question, is retirement even godly? And that's probably shouldn't open that can up, but that might be a good question for a future video. Like, what does God think of retirement? Like saving up money and then resting. So sorry, we shouldn't go there. But let's see a couple comments here. Having trouble going on Facebook is what I got here. That's all right. Hey, good morning. Doki Doki Bible Club. I hope I'm saying your name right. Thank you so much for joining me today. But anyway, that's kind of what I got today. So if you want to be generous, one of the ways you can be generous is visit the Life to the Full Designs Etsy store. I have yet to have a sale. You could be the first one. That would be great. And also check out this Friday's video. I'm going to do a video this week on this book right here, Life to the Full, biblical productivity journal. So if you want to have, if you want to see absolutely the world's greatest morning routine, then you're not going to want to miss the video on this Friday on the Jeff Bruce. So thanks so much for hanging out with me this morning. I hope you have a great rest of the week. And yeah, grace and peace to you guys. See ya.